I've always loved recruiting. I have a passion about it, and it's easy to recruit when you believe in your product. And I like the competitiveness of it. I like the salesmanship of it. I really enjoy the relationship part of it, and I love the idea that you got to really hustle and you got to work at it and you got to improvise and make adjustments along the way, and you're always strategizing as you recruit. You're just not out there aimlessly recruiting. You're strategizing, always thinking 2 and 3 and 4 years ahead of time and trying to put all the magical pieces together. And so that's all. There's a lot of teamwork involved, and just all things that are very attractive to me. The only downside of it is just some time where you got to be away from your family, but otherwise there's a lot more positives than negatives.
A lot of coordinators think it's too much on their plate to do a lot of recruiting and coordinating. Mm-hmm. Do you have to sacrifice anything, or?
There's always give and take, but to me, I don't feel right about the lifeblood of your program is recruiting, and it's the players. And if every program's kind of built that way, and then philosophically I'm sure I'm no different than anybody else, then why would I want to leave anything to chance? And so if we're going to fail, I want to be a part of that process, or if you're going to succeed, I want to be a part of the process, and I want to have something to do with it other than being a quote-unquote figurehead. So I've always had a willingness to pick up my end of the rope and do my part, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I enjoy it too much, and I feel there's too much of a responsibility to put it just on 3 coaches or just on a group, a couple of guys. I think that everybody needs to actively work at it and pitch in and do their part.
Can you talk about your transition a little bit? We haven't had a chance to talk to you since you first showed up, but talk about how your transition is going and obviously getting ready for the real thing here in a few weeks.
Everybody's been incredibly helpful. It couldn't have been any better from the support from within the Clemson football family and the university, players, and then within the state, the area. It's been very good for my entire family. I'm not going to sit here and act like everything's rosy. It's hard, and the more, once you get kind of settled, the more you realize how hard it is and how challenging it is. And I say that in a very happy way, but you start to realize what you left and what's in front of you, and it's both exciting and it's tough both. When you're emotionally invested, obviously, as well as physically invested as much as I was in Norman, and my family was, you realize a lot of the sacrifice that was made from them to pick up and have a willingness to come out here. So it gives me more appreciation for my wife and my children.
Coach, Clemson fans get used to one coordinator, and now you're coming in. If you will talk about your style, your approach, what kind of defense are we going to see? And I know you've had a chance to assess the talent a little bit, and just kind of talk about what kind of defense Clemson fans will see this year.
Well, I'd like to say first, I'm just one person, and there's so many in any successful organization, business, football team. It's a lot more than about just one person, and it takes a collective group effort, a willingness to everybody, have each other's back, and to have one collective common goal and to pull in the same direction. And that's a difficult task in itself. And so the coach has got to get us started, and it's our responsibility to put our guys in the right spot. In the right spots, and then it's the players' responsibility to invest in the success that we all want to have. And without that investment, and that's hard. There's a real commitment and a real sacrifice. And as I talk, I'm always talking about to be an elite team, to be a top 5 team, to have a chance to win a national championship. So from that standpoint, it's got to be a real investment in every, and it's from the investment from. I'm not naive enough not to believe it's the GAs, it's the secretaries, it's the offensive coaches, it's all of us together. And when any one of those changing parts, drops the ball, we all suffer. So I'm one guy. Hopefully I can bring some experience. I'm very passionate. I demand great attention to detail and to play with both a mental and a physical toughness. Those are things that, I demand, and I think those all take place before you ever snap the ball, to have that type of a mindset. I expect our guys to have great accountability to one another, to themselves, and to have ownership in what we're doing. And so again, we'll have an aggressive approach, but I want our guys to be known to be physical. And I think that there's no substitute for being physical. That will never change. That's the environment that I've been brought up in, the philosophy that I've been brought up in, something that I believe wholeheartedly in. Fundamentals, technique, being physical, and again, just being consistent. And I think any successful, program or business, one common trait is there is a level of consistency in Bill Schneider's the model of consistency as a coach. I credit to the success that he's had, my experience in dealing with him, now I've been fortunate to be around two guys that are going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame one day. And they're both a model of consistency, and never panicking, never radically changing philosophies, never radically changing schemes midstream. And the players sense that, and they want a level of consistency. And it's still, the game doesn't have to be overly complicated. It's about the basics and the fundamentals. And the players are always looking for you. Are you gonna panic? I think both of those guys, and Bob Stoops in particular, the best thing that he had about him, and he had many good qualities, but the best thing was in tough times and in times of adversity, he was at his best. He had a great strength, a calm presence to him, great strength about him, and he gave you confidence in those situations, players, coaches, everybody alike. And the things that we do and the things that we emphasize, the things that we incorporate will be because we believe it gives us the best opportunity to win as a football team. And I'll strongly encourage our guys to never be influenced on their approach to the game or to their commitment to Clemson to be influenced by anything other than the Clemson football family. And that's how I am as a coach. The decisions, you can't ever be afraid to make decisions because you're afraid to be criticized. I strongly believe that, and as we continue to evaluate our guys from where they were to where they are now to where they are at the end of fall camp, we'll make decisions accordingly. There's so many things that we got to continue to get better at, and we've got to continue to develop depth and develop playmakers. Find out who playmakers are. We'll find out who I think that process will continue to evolve even during the course of the season. I don't know what these guys, what their mindset's going to be, what their body language is going to be, what they say that there's a willingness to accept responsibility for success and failure. Well, we'll see. Whether it's a fourth quarter opportunity or we're down in a situation, when we're faced with adversity, I'm going to start to find out who our guys really are. And so that's part of the continual process of developing a team and an identity and a mindset. The best teams that I've been associated with are ones that are both obviously coach-driven but player-driven in regards to leadership, in regards to a willingness to work and to have sacrifice, and to call guys out. And I really, one of the most encouraging things coming out of the spring was just their overall willingness to work, their overall willingness to learn. It may not be to the exact level that I want yet and what I expect, but they're putting forth the effort, and that'll continue to improve along the way. And so there's been no resistance that way. But I want our guys to understand what disciplined means. I want our guys to understand what being responsible within the confines of the defense is, and again, playing in a relentless manner. So.
Brent, that being said, talent-wise, can you say the pieces are here to get to where you want to go, or do you still have to wait to see some of the things you were just talking about?
The pieces are there that definitely put out a consistent product, no question. And one end obviously is championship caliber, and we got things we got to get better at and to improve on. I believe in our guys. I believe in some guys up front. There might be some guys we may not have great depth, so some guys are really going to get tested in ways that I have not seen them get tested yet. I know that storm's coming, and so again, we've been preaching that and harping that. one to believe you just running a whole bunch of guys to keep guys quote unquote fresh. Your best players should play and play the majority of the snaps, and you don't inherit the right to play. You earn the right to play, and you earn it every day. And then the next day you go back and you earn it again. And so I'm, again, a firm believer in rewarding the work that's involved, not rewarding potential. You reward performance, and that's my job. I get evaluated every day on my performance, and then I'm not going to expect anything any different from our coaches or our players.
What impressed you most about Stephon Anthony in spring that you were able to give him this responsibility?
He's really hungry to be a great player. He's very coachable. He brings high energy every day. He's talented. I knew that because I watched him in high school and actually talked to him. At the time, we might have been his first offer as a junior. But what a quality person and individual he is. He's got a lot to him. He's an achievement-oriented young guy. He cares about what you think. He cares about having his name on it, and he cares about not letting his teammates down. And so he's got a lot of the traits and the intangibles that you want. Not just all your players, but particularly your great leaders and your figureheads of your program. Certainly a starting middle linebacker to have. So he's not there, but he works every day. He's locked in and pays attention, and he's hard on himself.
Someone that's been out in Kansas and Oklahoma for a lot of years, has there been any difference for you in your perception of Clemson and the reality of Clemson once you got here?
No, I wouldn't have come here if I didn't expect it to be like it is, and so I say that in a very humble way. I saw, again, a very passionate, prideful program, state. I saw a fan base that's very hungry for a winner. I saw, through the years of seeing, a strong foundation of talent, a place that you can recruit to, and it was all just reaffirmed the longer that I've been here, and certainly once I came to visit for the first time. There's no excuse for failure here. What does that mean? It's not always just wins and losses, but overall, I think there's ability to put together a very high-level, consistent, elite program here, and it has all the changing parts to do so. And I would not have come here. Some coaches, they want to go to that place, and I don't. I want to go where you have a chance to recruit. You have a chance to play for high expectations, and where there's a history and a tradition of winning and of success. Because I believe that history has a way of repeating itself, and I believed in the men in the leadership position that are here to do so.
Do you want your defense to take your personality or reflect it?
Yeah, as far as my expectations, as far as my intensity, as far as my passion, as far as my attention to detail, as far as my commitment to success and commitment to winning, no question. I expect that, and that's hard. And it's really hard. That's why there's only so many first-team guys. There's 11 of them, and I think we can find 11. But you want guys that love it. You want guys that are committed to it. You want guys that are humble, coachable, that are tough-minded, and they're consistent. The best players, sometimes they're not an All-American, but some of the best players I've been around are guys that are the model of consistency. They show up every day. They got a great attitude. They got a tough attitude. They give you great effort. They give you the same effort. If there's an area of weakness, you can help coach around that. They're not going to be way up here one day, way down here. They're not drama queens. They don't have a level of this inherent right, this self-indulgence that kind of society is in today. So, I actually do. I want guys to, they don't have to be just like me, but they need to follow that lead.
One of the issues defenses here have had periodically the last decade or so is the absence of strong leadership on defense. There have been one or two players. Can you groom a leader, or do you just find them and chisel on them and refine?
I think it's a combination of the two. Some guys are quote unquote proverbial natural leader. They got it written all over them. And those guys stick out like a sore thumb, and you know who they are. And then some guys have leadership ability, or they're in a leadership position but don't have necessarily the natural leadership qualities. A guy that I coached that was a multi All-American, won the Butkus, was drafted. He spoke in front of the guys. It was hurtful, you know. It just never came off right. And but I think it's your responsibility as a coach, and it's just not just one coach. I think it's a culture where you have to nourish that leadership, where you teach them in small increments on how to be a good leader. And obviously you lay a foundation of leadership, but then you find ways to force them in a position where they have to lead because they need to be able to lead. And I think it becomes more natural the more that they do it. So I think that's a nourishing, ongoing process that you have to always be cognizant of, and you always have to do every year, and some years less than more. And but even if you got a group of guys that are strong leaders, I had a guy that was a great leader, tough. He'd get in anybody's face. You know, he'll fight his own brother, and then he'll fight the guy 10 rows up though, and then he'll fight the guy that's the starting quarterback. So you had to kind of channel that leadership and that emotion the right way. And so again, that's our responsibility as coaches.
Do you have enough of those already?
I don't know. Like I said, that lead, a lot of times to me, it's easy to kind of lead when nobody's keeping score, or you lead, when you're not playing the game and you're in the heat of battle. We're gonna find out, and so they're gonna find out about me, and then I'm gonna find out a lot about them. I think there are some guys that, without question, equivocally have strong leadership attributes. Yes, and we need to continue to teach them how to be the leader the right way all the time. And again, be that model of consistency as a leader too. You know, don't be that guy with his lips stuck out. You got to be able to coach your leaders harder than you do anybody else on your team. And when you have that guy in the leadership position where you can do that, it's invaluable. And it'll be invaluable long. They'll have a strong legacy long after they're gone, because that Johnny freshman over there was watching. And when it's his time to play, he remembers those moments, because that guy was coachable. You know, that guy was an All-American, and he let you chew his butt out, and he took responsibility for failure, and he said, you know what, coach, that stinks. I'm going to get it better, and you go watch today. I'm going to go after it today. You know, and then he sees that guy purposely go after in practice. Yeah, you can't coach that. I mean, you can't, you can't have it any better than that when you have guys that are that way. And that's what I try to pride myself in as a coach in my meeting room, is constantly grinding that type of a mindset. And it's a selfless mindset. It's a us we team mindset. It's a toughness in regards to that mindset, and it's a sacrificing kind of mindset. So, but it's something that you got to really work at, like everything else.
Was that the kind of player you were? Was that the kind of player you were?
I wasn't the same. I didn't have the same high level of success and notoriety, but I always prided myself on being a lot of those intangibles. Yes. Yeah.
Frank, can you recruit to that leadership,
Yeah.
even at the expense of perhaps a more talented?
You need to be. I think you need to always be aware. I think you'd be negligent if you weren't. And he doesn't have that extra star. Well, so and so didn't offer him. Well, so what? And that's where it comes back to. You can't be afraid to make decisions based on being criticized. So what? You're going to be criticized on either side of it. It just happens. So Coach Stoops would often say, "Man, I'm going to go down my way." You know what I mean? Not somebody else's way. And I use that in all things professionally, and even with my own children. I don't care that Susie has an iPhone. You're not getting one. So that's my way. That's Susie's dad.
You're not going to get him an iPhone?
No, I'm just saying. I might have given in here recently, but they've earned the right. So.
Do you have a better sense of where Tony Stewart will play this fall? Or
I don't. I really don't, because I haven't engaged enough with him. I was really pleased with what I felt was strong engagement in our meetings, but I couldn't dedicate the whole meeting to seeing what he knew and what he retained, because I needed to worry about knowing what the guys that are going to line up in practice knew. And that's the thing that, again, a guy like me coming in and everything's brand new, all the players are brand new, everybody's brand new. So I'm teaching all of them and teaching all the coaches too. And that was, that's more challenging than I probably initially thought. But my point is that's coming here in the next few weeks. I have not worked with him athletically to see what he can do. I did watch his high school tape, and I saw he could run straight ahead, very explosive, very fast. But I've really liked his personality, and I'm a big into personalities and what they are as people as much as anything. I just think there's always, it transcends. Now I've coached some dirtbags, don't get me wrong, that were great players. And I like a little bit of dirtbagness. I love dirtbag on offensive line. You know what I mean? Just tough guys that want to kick our butts and fight us every day. I like that. But at the end of the day, in regards to Tony, I'm excited to see what he can do. I hope that he makes some decisions really hard for us as defensive coaches on what we're going to do with personnel. And that's kind of the mindset, that he knows he's got an opportunity to kind of really make an impact, and at a group that returned some experience, but again, nobody that showed any level of consistency that is to brag about.
Speaking of personality, where do you see Lateef Townsend fitting in?
I love what he brings. He likes to play. Football is his sanctuary. Practice is his sanctuary. I saw him improve as much as anybody in the spring as far as his foundation, fundamental and technique, and he got a ways to go still. But I just, about, the first, 7-8 practices, pretty stagnant. And then next I don't know what it was, but then I started to slowly see a little bit of improvement every day. And it was a lot easier for me to be encouraging and nourishing and to him, and I think he started to flounder that way, but or not flounder, flourish rather. And that being said, he's explosive. He can run. He loves contact. He's a contact player, and a lot of guys aren't. Wow, he's just soft. No, he's just not a real explosive tackler. Sometimes you got a really good football. He's not an explosive knockback tackler, and Lateef is exactly that. And he doesn't have experience. And again, doesn't really understand all the nuances of the game yet, in the intricacies of the defense yet. But I love his willingness to be aggressive and to be in attack mode. And so we need to try to find a place for him. And so we'll be working on that when we get started.
Jermaine,
How do you feel about your defensive end depth? Is there a possibility could Barnes slide out and help you out there from
I don't feel very good about it for obvious reasons, and yes, that's a possibility, and he's done it. He's not, wouldn't be. I don't think that he's been a dominant player where he is, and you take a dominant player and you move him to a position, and he's just trying to help in depth, and now he's going to be average there. I don't think he's really solidified himself anywhere. I think he's talented, and I think that he's a viable option.
a guy like Travis Blanks isn't your prototype, what you call nickel defensive back. Is that more reflective of how you want to use your nickels, or is that?
I just think when people are putting that third and that fourth wide receiver, I think that that helps you match up better in space. And the college game, the ball's on the hash a lot, and that guy, he's got to match up on the slot a lot and play out in space, and he's a more athletic hybrid type of guy. So all of a sudden your 4-3 turned into a 4-2-5, but that's as they remove the guy from the proverbial box and take a back off and put another receiver, or take the back out of the backfield and put in the receiver position. You got to expand and defend that territory with them. And so the whole line of thinking is just putting a better athlete that can match up athletically out there. Love Travis, love his attitude. He's as mature of a freshman that I've been around. Really hard on himself. That's probably the number one attribute, trying to teach other guys. Be like Blanks. That guy comes to work every day, makes mistakes, takes ownership, takes responsibility, and then you see him in a very purposeful way go attack that weakness the next day. And you can coach him hard. And again, he's not polished by any stretch. You'll think he has a chance, again, to be a real quality player in time. But he has the foundation and the makings of what a lot of special players have, and in regards to all those intangibles. And he's got length, he's got speed, he's got instincts, he's got good ball skills, and I think he'll be a big part of what we're doing this year. I'd be surprised if he wasn't.
Does he grow into a safety eventually, or?
He can play safety. He can line up and play corner right now. And we're trying to put our best guys that give us the best chance to win in those positions. And, we're not perfect and don't profess to be. And so that's all part of this process. And how we match up against our offense may not be how we match up against Auburn or against Georgia Tech or against Florida State. And I think you need to be multiple, though, because more and more offenses have the propensity to be multiple. And obviously in an ideal situation, you had the guy that's 6'4", 245 pounds, and he runs 4-2, and he can play corner, and he can cover the slot, and then he can line up and run that A-gap and smash that 240-pound fullback in the mouth and break his jaw. But that guy doesn't exist, at least in the guys I've coached. So, but you would like the guy that can come closest to to meeting those types of attributes. But Travis does. He has. Some guys have the ability to kind of play multiple positions, and they provide you instant depth. In most guys don't have that ability to do that, and Travis does. So that's unique that way.
You incorporate more zone concepts than they're accustomed to. Was that much of a transition in the spring, or will it be in fall camp?
We'll continue to build and evolve. I think that, let's face it, I think that when you get up and disrupt routes and get in people's faces, I think that makes receivers uncomfortable. I think it makes quarterbacks uncomfortable. So I think for us, we've been multiple through, but you got to be really good at something too, instead of being average at everything. And that's the delicate balance, finding what your guys can handle, what they can play at a really high, consistent level at, and just kind of feed them as they go. A year ago, or 2 years ago, we had a really experienced team, and midway through the year, we incorporated some 3-4 defense down the stretch, and we went on a great run of playing in a really high-level defense, and went on and won the championship and won a BCS game, but they had the ability to handle that. A lot of the same concepts, but just structurally for an offense, it was different, but it made a big difference in our ability to have some flexibility to do that.
Have you had occasion to review league opponents on tape and get a sense of what the character and the nature of ACC teams are?
I think it's a very multiple league. Some teams want to run it 80% of the time, and some teams they got the big thrower back there, and then some teams are a little bit more like our offense. They'll kind of do a little bit of both. Got the no huddle, up tempo stuff going, and you got the triple option. You guys know, because I've been asked more than anything else about the option. Do you know that it's hard for a lot of defenses to stop those guys? We all agree on that, right? I mean, I would watch football like everybody. They led the country in third down conversions. Well, why is that? Because their ability to have success on early downs, running the football, getting the manageable 3rd and 2s, and we can't stop them on 3rd down. Well, you know what? If you let them to get to 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 1 all day, that's gonna be hard to stop them. Led the ACC in, I think, scoring and obviously rushing and maybe even a total offense. I mean, I didn't know all that until I kind of never then I hear everybody, we can't stop the offense. Well, you know what? Everybody's having a hard time doing it.
But they also probably led the nation in 4th down conversions.
Yeah, those teams are always disciplined, efficient, and very seldom do they beat themselves. If they play somebody that turns the ball over, doesn't rush or possess the football, they have a great chance to win. And so that's here, that's Oklahoma, and I'm not preaching, I'm preaching to the choir, so that's at, Seneca Junior High School, it's everywhere. That team thrives on possessing the football and gaining extra possessions and taking advantage of your, in a game, how that game's run, a turnover there is like 2 turnovers. You just can't do it. You can't give up those possessions. So anyway, I know you guys know that. But so in relating to the 4th downs, yeah, they go for it because they take advantage and attack your lack of ability to stay disciplined for 4 quarters, and that's why.